Γεια σας, καλημέρα. Με λένε Στάλο. When we talk about comparison of adjectives, we refer to number 1, the degrees of comparison, and number 2, the kinds of comparison. There are 3 degrees of comparison in Greek, the same as in English. The positive degree, θετικός βαθμός, the comparative degree, συγκριτικός βαθμός, and the superlative degree, υπερθετικός βαθμός. And there are 3 kinds of comparison in Greek, the same as in English: comparison of equality, comparison of superiority, and comparison of inferiority. Let's start with the degrees of comparison. The positive degree is the basic form of an adjective. It simply indicates a quality. For example, μικρός, small, ωραίος, beautiful, άσχημος, ugly, ειλικρινής, sincere. The comparative degree is the form of an adjective that indicates a comparison between 2 nouns with regard to a specific quality. There are 2 ways to form it. One way is to use the word πιο, which means more, in front of the adjective. Μικρός, πιο μικρός. Ωραίος, πιο ωραίος. The other way is to attach the ending ότερος to the stem of the adjective. Μικρός, this is the ending os. If we take away the ending, we are left with the stem, μικρ, and we attach ότερος to the stem, μικρότερος. Ωραίος, ωραιότερος. The superlative degree is the form of an adjective that indicates a comparison of many nouns with regard to a specific quality. There are 2 ways to form it. One way is to use the definite article o with πιο, ο πιο, which means the most, in front of the adjective. Μικρός, ο πιο μικρός. Ωραίος, ο πιο ωραίος. The other way is to attach the ending ότατος to the stem of the adjective. Μικρός, μικρότατος. Ωραίος, ωραιότατος. Here we see the 3 degrees all together. Μικρός, πιο μικρός or μικρότερος, ο πιο μικρός, or you can use this form with the article for the superlative, ο μικρότερος and μικρότατος. Ωραίος, πιο ωραίος, or ωραιότερος, ο πιο ωραίος, ο ωραιότερος, ωραιότατος. Here you see I indicated that this is a relative superlative and so is this, and this is an absolute superlative. The same here, and I will explain with an example. Ο κήπος της είναι ο πιο μικρός σε όλη τη γειτονιά. Or, ο κήπος της είναι ο μικρότερος σε όλη τη γειτονιά. Her garden is the smallest in the whole neighborhood. Here the superlative is relative. Her garden is compared to all the gardens in the neighborhood, and hers is the smallest. It's relative because it's compared to all the other gardens. But look at this example. Ο κήπος της είναι μικρότατος. Her garden is very, very small. Her garden is tiny. Here the superlative is absolute. It's not compared to any other specific gardens. It just has the absolute quality of being very, very small. So we use the form μικρότατος. So far, we've seen that ότερος and ότατος are spelled with omicron. However, there are 5 adjectives that have omega instead of omicron. All 5 of these adjectives are formed from adverbs. From the adverb ano, which means up, we have the adjective that means superior, anóteros, anótatos. From the adverb kato, which means down, we have the adjective that means inferior, katóteros, katótatos. From the adverb apo, which means far, we have the adjective that means distant or ulterior, apóteros, apótatos. From the adverb eso, which means in, we have an adjective that means inner, esóteros, esótatos. And from the adverb exo, which means out, we have the adjective that means outer, exóteros, exótatos. Adjectives ending in is with y and is with ita form the comparative and superlative a little differently. Let's take, for example, the adjective βαθύς, which means deep, βαθύτερος, βαθύτατος. This y is preserved in the comparative and the superlative. And safis with ita, which means clear, forms the comparative in esteros, safesteros, and the superlative safestatos. There are also some adjectives that have irregular degrees of comparison. These are the most common. Kalos, kaliteros, kalistos, or aristos. You can also use this form with a definite article, o kaliteros. In everyday language, you may also hear the superlative kalótatos, kakos, χειρότερος, χείριστος, or kakistos. And here also you can say ο χειρότερος, μεγάλος, μεγαλύτερος, ο μεγαλύτερος, μέγιστος, πολύς, περισσότερος, ο περισσότερος, πλήστος, λίγος is irregular in the superlative, ελάχιστος, and γλυκός, instead of γλυκότερος, we say γλυκύτερος with y and γλυκύτατος. Now, let's go over the kinds of comparison. We form the comparison of equality by using εξίσου, το ίδιο, τόσο, όσο και. Sometimes we can omit και. Let's look at an example. The blue chair is as good as the green chair. Η μπλε καρέκλα είναι εξίσου καλή με την πράσινη καρέκλα. Η μπλε καρέκλα είναι το ίδιο καλή με την πράσινη καρέκλα. Η μπλε καρέκλα είναι τόσο καλή όσο και η πράσινη καρέκλα. All three sentences have the same meaning. Comparison of superiority. Ο σκύλος μου είναι φιλικός. My dog is friendly. Ο σκύλος μου είναι πιο φιλικός από τον σκύλο σου. Or, ο σκύλος μου είναι φιλικότερος από τον σκύλο σου. My dog is friendlier than your dog. Ο σκύλος μου είναι ο φιλικότερος από όλους τους σκύλους. My dog is the friendliest of all the dogs. Here we have a relative superlative. Ο σκύλος μου είναι φιλικότατος. My dog is very friendly. My dog is super friendly. And here we have an absolute superlative. Comparison of inferiority. We form the comparison of inferiority by using λιγότερο, which means less, for the comparative degree, and το λιγότερο, or ελάχιστα, which means the least, for the superlative degree. Αυτό το φάρμακο είναι επικίνδυνο. This drug is dangerous. Αυτό το φάρμακο είναι λιγότερο επικίνδυνο. This drug is less dangerous. Αυτό το φάρμακο είναι το λιγότερο επικίνδυνο. This drug is the least dangerous. This is a relative superlative. Αυτό το φάρμακο είναι ελάχιστα επικίνδυνο. This drug is minimally dangerous. This drug is very, very little dangerous. And this is the absolute superlative. That's all for today. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Ευχαριστώ. Γεια σας.